we're starting to get a lot of blue sky right above it, which is great. The clouds were looking quite threatening this morning. Maybe Misha will come back to around Gowrie Dam at some stage. There's plenty of food there. Looks like the impala herd are going to make their way down toward the dam. So if we have any new viewers, as you've seen, we do answer questions as we're driving around. So if you would like to ask questions, then send it through to finalcontrol@safari.tv. Final control being all one word and all lowercase. I'm just thinking about those rhinos on the pre-recorded drive now. I think that interaction that I was talking about earlier is actually one of the pre-recorded drives that are playing at the moment. So after the live drive, you're able to watch the pre-recorded drives. Drives that just happened a couple of weeks ago. If you'd like to see some more interaction between those two bulls, then it should be on one of those drives, if not the following drives. Hi Elizabeth. And I think maybe a few people are also confused, I don't think you're alone, about the leopard territories. And, oh, sorry little Franklin. The leopard territories and how they all work. Basically, all leopards have territories, as do most cat species. So this basically, this 1,000 hectares that we have tends to be Karula's main hold, the main part of the territory. She seems to go into Buffelshoek. We don't know how far into Buffelshoek she goes. We don't tend to hear of her being in Torchwood. She tends to go south a little bit from where we had the rhinos this morning, right on our southern boundary, Gowrie, Maine. We have seen her coming from there, we've heard of her being there. So she may have the average 1,500–2,000 hectares territory, but her main part of the territory is here. The females will also overlap to a certain degree, so she does have her mother in the west, Safari. She has been seen coming into this area, and it's thought that Karula also took part of her mother's territory. Now Safari is getting older, so she's possibly being pushed into a much smaller territory because the stronger leopards are taking parts of the territory. So maybe that's what happened with Kalula. That she took over part of the mother's territory. The Seka also is in the east Cheetah Plains, and occasionally she's seen as far up as our southeastern corner. Kingana, her other daughter, is in the west, possibly overlaps with Safari, which is her grandma. And we did hear of her being in the area of Impala Plains, which also overlaps with Kalula's territory. So at the boundaries you do get these overlapping areas of females, and especially where there's a lot of prey species, which there is, then it should be able to support that amount of leopards in the area. And that's why I don't think there's too much of a conflict. And there could be the fact that they are related may also reduce that conflict. We have seen White Cloth when she was alive. She did also come into Kalula's territory. She could have also, because she was 16 years old, could also be that she was having pressure put on her, and again maybe parts of her territory were taken, so it forced her further north. The males, I think we actually on the boundaries between three male territories, and Kalula tends to operate in the east, and it's believed he mated with Saseka. It's also believed he mated with Kingana. At some stage maybe he's in the east and in the south. The Kupanyan also seems to operate in the south and maybe to the west of us, and Yambili Yordan operates further north. And again, we have those males overlapping. We've seen all three males here. Misha and Induna are now just over 2 years old. They're not quite old enough to hold a territory. They're still fairly small compared to the other males in the area. So they need to maybe grow up in the next couple of years. So for the time being, they're probably going to be nomadic. They may be allowed to stay in the mother's territory. But they may be allowed in the mother's territory, or they may move off. If they are leopards, may move out of the area. And what we find interesting is that Kalula's had the cubs and the boys are still here, and yet really they should have moved away. And that's what is quite interesting about the leopards here in the Sabi Sands, because there is so much of an overlap. I think we've worked out there could be 10 leopards that could possibly be seen in this area. It could even go up to more now that we've heard the daughters are here. And they've got cubs, so maybe it's gone up to about 12, maybe even 15 leopards could possibly be seen on this 1,000 hectares that we traverse in, which is quite amazing. If you go further afield, out of the Sabi Sands, where there's less prey species available, the leopards tend to hold a much higher area of territory, a much larger territory. And even the females will hold much larger territory. I used to work on a reserve of 22,000 hectares, and it was believed we only had 5 leopards who were residents in that area. 5 in 22,000 hectares, and we're talking about 12, 15 leopards in 1,000 hectares. So the density of the leopards is quite high. But again, there is a lot of prey species to support that. And if there wasn't, then you'd find much more conflict going on between the leopards, I think. And the leopards would space themselves out even more. Because remember, they do have a much larger area than 400 leopards in the whole of that area. And there may be males who never ever hold on to a territory in their life. And they're known as nomadic males, and they may just move between the territories, stay under the radar and avoid the territory owner. We've got some crowned shrikes in the road, southern white-crowned shrikes. There must be something quite interesting. They keep coming back to the road. Yeah, definitely got something in its bill. Some type of insect there. Another cooperative breeder. We've been doing well for our cooperative breeders this morning, bird-wise. And the whole reason why birds and animals will take on helpers is to try and increase the possibility of the survival of their chicks or for their offspring. And it could be that there's not too many territories available, so if the offspring from one year helps to rear the offspring of the next year, they have a lot of genes in common. They're very closely related, so if they survive, then the family are more likely to survive. And they may not have an opportunity to breed themselves in that year that they help. And they also gain experience. So there is a lot of benefit to actually helping the parents rear the next set of chicks or offspring. It looks like it's an adult actually feeding a chick. I wonder if they're going to stay put. Nope. Chick's just flown off. And some birds will only take on helpers if there's not a lot of food available. The pie kingfisher that we have here is one of those birds. Oh, we've got a roller in the tree. I can park here. It looks like a European. Let me just check. Like a European roller. Bright blue chest rather than the pink and blue of the lilac-breasted roller. Up on the tree. I don't know if you can see it. Right on the end of the branch. You need to go higher. And to the left. Keep going left. Keep going left. Keep going left. Even more left. It's in this tree right in front of us. There we go. That tree there. Sitting right on the end of the... There he is. Just in the top corner. Now the rollers tend to have quite brightly coloured feathers, and as they eat a lot of insects, a lot of those colours come from the chemicals from those insects. Some of the colours are because of pockets or air pockets, or pockets of keratin in the feathers. Instead of actual layers, they're just little pockets, and that helps to scatter the light that hits the feathers, and it creates these stunning colours, but they're not metallic like you see in some birds. Another way keratin can be used. So if it's a metallic feather, the layers of keratin are in the feather to help scatter the light and make it this metallic green, blue, purples. But if it's just pockets of keratin, and it's these still bright blues and bright greens, but they're on the floor. And they get the name roller because of the display that they do. They fly and roll over and over in the sky to attract a female. So it's just flown off. Oh, sorry, I thought you'd done that already. I'm way ahead of you. Okay, so we didn't find our elephants on Ngugu Road. I'm just going to check the Lego shortcut, see if they've come back to the road. The message I got from texting was that the elephants were on Lego shortcut and they moved east into the bush. I was hoping if we gave them some time they might just pop out on Ngugu Road. I see some elephant dung in the road. Hi Bashir, welcome on board to you this morning. There was a warthog just up ahead. Oh, there's another one. And another one.
Very well. Outside. That's been received,
Go on. Hyenas were also down here. I did hear them at the back of camp. Little Jenny's been moving around as well. Tiny little track in the sand. Little Genic cat type creature. Bogash, welcome on board to you this morning. Wanting to know, have we seen the baboons recently? You haven't seen them for a while. And do we have... Sorry, Bashir. Sorry, Bashir. I'm getting sidetracked by Genic tracks. Sorry, Bashir. Welcome on board this morning. But you haven't seen the baboons for a while. And do we have any monkeys? And it's a shame you weren't on drive with us yesterday, because we actually managed to catch up with the baboons. They haven't been around for a while, they've been MIA, but we've managed to catch up with them. So I think they may have been sleeping over last night, but I didn't see them on the quarantine area this morning when we first started. And they weren't around by the house, where sometimes they go. So they may have been hiding from us this morning, but I think they possibly are around. I did manage to see 7 of them yesterday. Both babies are doing well. And the monkeys, we don't often see the monkeys on drive. They tend to be around camp quite a lot. And I was being intimidated by them the other day. I was sat there eating my lunch and I was being surrounded by the vervet monkeys, eyeing up my dinner. And I just had to sit there and watch. Definitely not the best idea to feed the monkeys. There's one female in particular, she's very intelligent, and I think she actually communicates with the smaller ones to sit there and look cute, so that your attention is taken away so much that you forget to protect your food. And they have actually used this strategy a couple of times, and unfortunately creeping underneath your chair, and you just see this hand reaching up and grabbing a piece of food. And you've got to hand it to them, they are extremely intelligent. But I know their tricks now, so I keep very, very, very close watch on the individuals who are cheeky enough to do that. Because the babies are still a little bit wary. They always are very comical, and you hear them jumping on the roof, and they'll sit and watch us trying to fix Gunda when we have problems. And they'll just sit and watch us on the roof. I'd love to know what goes through their minds. Oh, we got a hyena! We found hyenas! I heard you guys calling. I thought they'd gone to bed already. If I can sneak around the corner, I might be able to see them. Can you see them? Looks like they actually want to walk this way. Scare them off around the corner again. Hopefully they will walk past us. Been a while since we've seen the hyenas. Here's another misunderstood animal. People often find them or see them as mangy scavengers, and it's just not the case at all. see the fur on this one is actually in very good condition. They keep themselves well groomed and cleaned. And they are scavengers, but they're also very efficient hunters. Let's see if we can follow them. Where are they going? I wonder if their den isn't around here. I think they have changed the communal den. We did hear that they do tend to go and sleep. Or does it mean that someone has got a kill somewhere? Going that way. Okay, let me just reverse and see if they haven't just gone around the bush and gone back out onto the road. Like the elephants did cross through here. Interesting. Plot thickens. Well, at least we're able to get a brief view of them. There's a youngster there with sub-adult. Or a small adult, should I say. sounds like the Ungarima pride have been found up towards Inbuckelshoek. And no sign of the mating pair this morning. So I think last night was the last night. And she certainly, when we left her, she certainly seemed to be getting quite aggressive towards him in his advances. I did hear calling from the south, so I went up for dinner last night. There's probably at least 2 lines, if not 3 lines, that I could hear calling. And it could have been the Majingilans retaliating, because yesterday there was quite a lot of roaring from the Gajima males, especially after the mating. So it could well be that the Majingilans heard them. Although, driving around this morning, I haven't seen any tracks of lions to suggest they came up this way. And funnily enough, we're also right in the centre of where at least 2 prides overlap. So we have the Ungarima lion pride that come over, and we saw them here probably about 4 or 5 days ago now on a kill. And the Styx pride also utilise this area quite a lot. Those are the 2 main prides that we see here. And then we have the Gajima males who have been making more of an appearance. I've only met the Gajima males once before, these last couple of months even. And that was March last year that I met them. And since then we hadn't really heard about them being here on our part of the world. I think they brought down a buffalo at one stage. And I was just at the back of camp, and the Majingilans came in and chased off the Gajima males. There was 4 against 2, so not great odds, unfortunately. I thought we'd just quickly check out the old quarantine area again, see if there's any sign of those baboons. Then he looked, Mark might be able to catch up with the elephants this afternoon. Seems like they're taking a while to make the way. An appearance here tonight. And you can see there's plenty of food available. Nice big herd of impala, especially with all those youngsters there. Ah, I see a baboon. They are with the impala. We just need to pull forward a little bit, but let's have a look at these babies first. see there's still a few rams mixed in amongst all the females and the youngsters there. But once we get into April, May time, even March, they're not going to tolerate any other male within their territory. There's a male there. We can maybe just, oh, he's moved. There you go, there's a ram on the left hand side of the screen there. And you can even see on the baby impala, some of them are nearly 2 months old now. You can already see on the males the little horns starting to poke through. Yeah, they've moved forward a little bit. Let's see if we can move forward and have a look at the baboons. See if we can get to have a look at them and the babies. I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen the baboons for a while, because as I say, they have been absent. Last night was the first time I'd seen them for quite a while. There they are, they're all sitting in the gorilla tree there, look. I think that's one of the mums. Yes, I can see the baby. Yeah, we can just follow him up, and the mother is actually sitting on the branch just above the baboon who's climbing up at the moment. You can see baby poking its head out, having a look at us. Oh. So if anybody would like to follow the movements a little bit more closely of the Gowrie gang, which is what they're called, there's a little baby. Here we go, just there, to the left of the screen. Oh, poked his head back in. Should be able to see it every so often. There we go. They do have their own Facebook page, and Graham Cook, who researches them, has been researching them for 6.5, nearly 7 years now, I suppose. He keeps an up-to-date record of what's been going on when he goes out to have a look for them, and they've actually accepted him into the troop, so he's able to sit with them. And you'll be able to see portraits of the baboons, and each of those in the troop. And just in case there's people watching and they're not too sure how you tell the difference between the baboons and the monkeys, because we don't often see the monkeys, say, much smaller, and their faces are much flatter, and they've got black faces with silver or grey fur with the long, very long tail. You can see the baboon's tail is fairly short, shorter than the body, whereas the monkey's tail is actually longer than its body. And the way that they hold it, especially when they're walking, it has a kink in the tail. So it bends over as they're walking. Whereas monkey tails tend to hang straight or get held straight out behind them if they are running along the ground, but you'll tend to find the monkeys are in the trees rather than on the ground, more so in the trees than the baboons. The baboons tend to spend a lot of the time during the day on the ground. They're more of a terrestrial primate, whereas the vervet monkeys are more of an arboreal, a tree dwelling. As you can see, the vervet monkeys can be seen on the ground, but they do feel very vulnerable on the ground. So these little is very important. It strengthens the bonds between the troop or the herd. Even these two baby impala taken in turns to lick each other, known as allo grooming. Quite amazing, you've got two very different mammals and yet they do share some behaviour. Bless you. Well, for the time being, everyone is quite settled. So we shall have to see if Mishu or Induna will pop up later on this afternoon. But it's been a wonderful morning this morning, and I'm hoping that there's enough blue sky joining us. Take care, have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again soon on Wild Earth. From myself and the rest of the crew, goodbye for now.